Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list I hesitated on making and even more hesitated on putting out because it's my secret stuff. It's stuff that is only going to make my collecting career a little bit tougher by sharing this info. What am I talking about? Well, these are the top 10 notes that I am having trouble finding at good prices. Well, why? Because apparently these notes must be a little bit more in demand. Now, I've also included a handful of notes that I believe are going to be worth money in the future. So, between those two statements, you're talking about notes that are going to be going up in value, notes that are currently going up in value, or notes that I think will be going up in value in the future. With that being said, I do have two honorable mentions, so let's knock them out of the way right away. First honorable mention. This is a 2013 B Star Note. You all know about the 2013 B Star Note duplicate series. They accidentally printed in both Fort Worth and Washington, D.C., a bunch of notes that had the same numbers. Now, there are a total of 13 million of the duplicate notes. But there are more notes than that. Turns out that there are less notes that weren't duplicates, which means nobody is saving the unduplicated notes. Everybody is saving the duplicated notes. In the long run, that means that these are going to be harder to find. And if they're harder to find, that means they will probably be worth more. Now, yes, if you have the pair of notes, the pair of duplicates, that is an incredible find. Those will be worth money. But what if you just have a note that isn't duplicated? Well, everybody is saving those hoping to match it. Nobody's saving these. So that's just something to keep in mind. The 2013 B Star non-duplicated notes, that's honorable mention number one. Honorable mention number two, there are not a whole lot of price guides out on these, so these are harder to figure out the price on. You can find them in Green Sheet, but I don't buy Green Sheet every month. I buy Green Sheet once every couple years. Green Sheet is the wholesale price guide that a lot of dealers use. And what this is this is a Series 692 $1 military payment certificate. The MPC from the 692 series, first you have to understand that the series number tells you the year. 69 would be 1969, and 2 means the second series for that year. Now, this particular note, one other thing about MPCs, if they do not have a second letter, see how this is E, then the serial number, then E. If they do not have two letters like that, then that would be the equivalent of a replacement note or a star note. That's how they did it. They just didn't include the last letter. But anyway, this particular note, hard note to find. Every time I see it, the price is always pretty high compared to everything else. Why? Because it uses the same engraving of the bison as on the bison note, the $10 bison note. So you can find these for under $100. This one is really nice because you can still see the print marks, the red dots here. You see that a lot in foreign currency. They use that as a security feature on the MPCs as well. But if you can't afford a bison, you most certainly can afford this note. And a lot of people are going that route because these are getting tough to find as well. Can't give you a price on them because don't have an up-to-date price. Just something that I noticed. All right, so those are my two honorable mentions. Let's get into the goods. Number 10 this week. I recently got this at a bank. I couldn't believe that I got this at a bank, but here's what a good one would look like. This is the 1934 $1 silver certificate. Now, the 34 series is known for having the blue numerals like this, and they did that on the 1, the 5, and the 10. Very easy set to put together because those are just beautiful numerals on there. I didn't pull out the 5 and the 10 because the series 1934 has the blue numeral, and then for the 5 and the 10, you can get the 34A, 34B, 34C. So those had numerous examples to get. But the 1 was only done for the 34 series. After that, you encounter the 1935 series, which changed the face and change the back of the note from what we see here, this is the funny back, to this back here that we're all used to seeing. So yeah, the 1934 funny back $1 note, that is a note that is a little tougher to find, and especially in good condition. It turns out that this particular note, the $1 note, is worth just as much as the 5 or the 10, in the $30 to $50 range, even in lower condition. Even though it's just a 1, 30 to 50 times face value compared to 3 to 5 times face value on the 10. So yeah, be on the lookout for these in good condition because they are harder to find. That is number 10 this week. Number 9. I've got a couple of these. These are both very specific, but they cover what I'm talking about. These are my two 1935 G star notes, one with the motto and one without the motto. If we look at the back, no motto here, there's a motto here, and these are both star notes. Star, star. But the reason I got these is because of the grade. 64 on this one, 66 on this one. The lesser condition notes, especially of this series, can easily be gotten for $3 to $5 a piece. Even the stars can be gotten for $10 or less. But to find these notes in high grade, especially when someone else graded them, that is the beauty. Okay, grading a note can easily cost you, $25 to $40 for these notes. So for you to pick up this note and send it in for grading, first you have to buy this note, then you have to pay for grading and the postage and everything, and the insurance and all the other stuff, and then hope it gets a grade high enough to qualify, to be worth more than the grading cost itself. So if you can simply go on eBay or go to a show and find these notes already graded and pick them up and save yourself all those additional costs, well, these are the notes that are the ones that are most likely to increase in value because there aren't that many of these in high grade. That's part of the reason I picked up these particular stars, because they were high grade stars. And these are actually worth triple digits, each one of them. I think the no motto is 100, 125, and the other one is like 200 to 250, somewhere in that range. So yeah, these are actually harder to find than you'd think, and they're definitely good adds to your collection. That's number 9. Number 8. Number 8 would be another pair of silver certificates. These are the experimental silver certificates. There is a coating that they put on the notes to help the ink stick to the note. You have to remember that these are not paper. Notes are actually a cotton linen blend. Think of how difficult it is to print on a t-shirt, even a cotton t-shirt. Eventually, anything you print on a shirt is going to start cracking and flaking off, and just it becomes terrible. Anybody who's ever had an old t-shirt knows. So they have to put a coating on the bill so that when they print, that coating makes the ink stick. So they did an experiment changing the coating. What they did was they printed roughly 1 million of these, which were regular notes with the regular coating, so they put an R on there. And then this had the special coating, the new coating, the S notes. And they sent these out in circulation, and then they were going to recall these after a certain period and compare the average wear of the notes to see if it was a success or not. The problem is that everybody saw those R's and S's. I'll show the back real quick. These are constitutional. Doesn't say "In God We Trust" on them. Anyway, the experiment was designed to test the wear patterns. And since the R and the S were so bold, everybody decided to save these, and very few were actually turned in, so the experiment itself was a failure. Now, much like the 2013 B, people knew this was a regular note, and people knew this was a special note. So if you had the regular note and the special note, which note do you think would be worth more money? Of course, everybody said the special note. That's the one that's going to be worth money. Everybody saved the special note, which means the regular notes weren't saved as much as the special notes. So here we are, 70 years later, and the R notes are actually harder to find. Not only that, people are scooping these up as soon as they become available. So if you don't have an R and an S note yet, I highly recommend picking one up. Make sure you have them both, and you want them in similar condition. These are both 64s, because, yeah, if one of these was an 8 and the other was a 64, you would think, well, one definitely wore more than the other, but no, you want them in similar condition. Right, so that's number 8. Number 7, after I got this note, I started paying attention to see if I could pick up another one of these for my buy it now sale, and these sell fast. This is the Vault Box Shipwreck SS Andrea Doria note. Andrea Doria Shipwreck note from Vault Box. Even though it's graded C, these were the lesser notes. Cheap is the wrong way to put it, but the silver certificates graded C were supposed to be the dud. The thing is, there's a pretty big demand for these notes. So, like I said, I've been trying to scoop up a couple, and every time I see them at auction, they're going for more than what Vaultbox was offering. So yeah, these are actually becoming very desirable and very hard to come by. So that's a promising thing. I was not into Vaultbox before. I don't know that I would be into Vaultbox, but just to have this note is a very, very cool addition to my collection. And to see that people are out for these notes now to see that they're after these notes on eBay and other auction houses, that's great to see. So yeah, like I said, I've been trying to find one for you guys, and it's been tough. They're out there, but they're not selling cheap. So just another good thing to pick up. That is number 6. 10, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7. Nope, that's number, there it is. 10, 9, 8. That's number 7. Number 6. I have another pair of notes, and these are another one I've been always looking for my Buy It Now sales. I'm not sure I've even ever picked one of these up for the Buy It Now sales. It's the 1907 $5 legal tender, the wood chopper. Everybody wants a wood chopper in their collection, and the reason I got 2 of them is this one here is the public error. The regular note, when you look at the back, you can see here it says for all debts public and private on the public debt. And when you look here, this U is broken, so it looks like it says PCB. And that actually happened on a lot of the notes. So you've got the wood chopper regular and the wood chopper public error. One is not worth more than the other. These are worth different amounts because the grades are different, but the note itself, they don't even make a distinction between the two. Knowing that there is a distinction is pretty cool. Having them both is pretty cool. Do you need them both? No. But like I said, as I go through all the auction places, these are selling for more than you'd expect them to sell. So yeah, these are definitely on their way up. Harder notes to come by, definitely in demand. That is number 6. Number 5. This was one of my more recent picks from the top 100. It is a $5 national. This one happens to be from the National Bank of New York City. $5 national, that's Garfield there, the President Garfield. Yes, it's graded 10. Yes, it's got the hard creases. I don't care because it's a brownback. Second charter period, I should say, brownback. Just a very, very cool note. One of the top 100 notes, so I was eager to get this into my collection. Every time I see a brownback, it starts going for ridiculous prices. People just don't want to let go of these notes, even in the rougher conditions like this one. So if you don't have a brownback, these can go for a few $100. It is a fairly easy add, but it's not a cheap ad. It used to be a cheap ad, but it's not a cheap add to your collection anymore. These are on the way up. They are demand. If somebody puts these out starting at $1, you're not going to scoop it for $10, or you're not going to scoop it for $100. It's going to sell for at or above the book, regardless of condition. So that one is number 5. Number 4. Number 4, I have, this is the 1862 $1 Confederate note. It's the type 45. And what's special about this one is the green overprint. Okay, when this note was first designed, it did not have that green overprint. So it was printed without that. And the printer told the person putting in the order, you know, these are going to be easy to counterfeit. You should add green or something on there just to make it that much tougher. And they said, no, we don't want that. And then the printer did it anyway. So these are technically unauthorized notes. Now, the thing is that there is a huge discrepancy in price with these notes. If you find one that's grade 8, the $1 notes are like, about $70 in a grade 8. But by the time you get to a grade 20, the $1 notes are almost $500. The average person can't tell the difference between an 8 and a 20. And even this one, as you're looking at it, you would think is pretty rough. With the creases that are in this note. And looking at the back, that's where you see it all. I mean, look at all those creases. But you have to remember, this was done on a much thinner paper. So the grades are slightly different. So looking at this note, if it was ungraded, someone could easily see all of this and think, nope, that's an 8. But it graded a 20. What's the difference in that? Like I said, $70 in a grade 8, $500 in a grade 20. Meaning these are becoming very tough to scoop up because people are taking the gamble to see if they can't turn that $80 or $70 into $500. So that one is number 4, 1862 Confederate Type 35. Number 3. This is the $2 version of the same note. And the same story applies. You can see this one has the green overprint. This one is known as the Slayer note. You've got the Confederate Army slaying the Union. That's what's going on up front. Now the $2 note, once again in a grade 8, you're talking a note that's about $70, $75 or so. But when you get to that grade 20 level, these are $1,000. So let's look at the back of this one. See the back? I always say checking the back lets you see the condition of the bill a little bit better. And looking at the back of this note, you can clearly see it's in about the same condition as this one, maybe better. And yet this one graded a 20. This one's ungraded. But if it grades a 20, that's $1,000. What did I pay for it? I probably got this one for $35, $40 at an auction. Why? Because people are unaware. So I've been on the hunt trying to find these, and everybody's been scooping these up. So yeah, another note, extremely difficult to find now, especially at lower prices, because a lot of people are trying to make that lottery win and turn their $80 into $1,000. So that one is number 3. Number 2, another note that I can't find cheap anymore, $100 red seal. This is the 1966 legal tender. What happened here was there was a law passed saying that the government was required to have so much money in circulation. And for the majority of time, they used $1 bills, $2 bills, $5 bills, stuff like that, the red seals. In modern times, I say modern times, from 1928 on, you weren't going to find the $1 bill anymore. The $1 bill was printed in 1928. Only a very few number, I think like 8,000 or something, actually circulated around that time. Some of them were put into circulation in Puerto Rico to help a currency shortage there, but there just weren't a lot of the $1 bills. You did have the $2 red seals and the $5 red seals floating around, but every time those came out of circulation, they had to get put back in because of that requirement. So what the government decided to do in 1966 was instead of reprinting all of those $1 and $2 or $2 and $5 red seals, they just increased the denomination all the way up to 100. They had to print less money, and they were released into circulation, but for the most part, they just sat in the bank's storerooms. So they were obeying the law by having that amount of currency circulating without the notes actually really circulating, which means very few of these got out. There weren't that many printed to begin with. Most were saved at the bank and then destroyed once the law was taken out of effect. These notes are ridiculously cheap even with all that being said. I mean, the book prices on these start at like $130. Even in a grade 20, you're talking $150, $175 for a $100 bill. So it's not even worth twice face. Yet, when you try to find one online, they're going for well over $200. So if you don't have one, pick one up because they are definitely in demand. And getting harder and harder to get. I didn't show the back. I'll make sure I do that. Looks just like a regular $100 bill, just with that red seal. And finally, number one this week. This is the $5 emergency currency from Hawaii. Another note that I've been trying to find for you guys to be able to sell in my Buy It Now sales. I see them for sale. They're just not affordable anymore. People are getting higher prices for these notes. This is the 1934A Hawaii. It's got the Hawaii overprint. It has the brown seal, and it's got Hawaii written on the back. This is the key note. I guess it was the workhorse of the emergency currencies. Everybody was using these, and there weren't as many printed as the ones, I guess. The ones are very easy to get a hold of. The fives, no, that's like the key note. And I didn't show prices on this stuff, but I do want to pull up this for the $5 note. Let me just show you exactly what's going on with this one, just to give you guys a little bit better idea. Here we go. Emergency currency. You can see the $1 bill in VG is 45, 50, 70. If we look at the $5 note, you're talking 85, 115, 175. Even for the one, the mule. Hey, Dan, there's a mule for $70, so those are even cheaper. But then when we go to the 10, you're talking 80, 100, 125. So the 85 to 175 from the 8 to 20 range, that's more than the 10. The $5 bill is worth more than the 10. And you can see the price of the one. A grade 21 is worth less than a grade 8.5. Now that's the book price. The thing is that when you go to actually buy these, they're selling for 125 to 175 easy, which makes them very tough to find for a bargain price, which means eventually the price guides will catch up and you will see these prices going up in the books. They're selling for more than what the book says, and they are. They're hard to find. If you don't have this, well, that's why they were the keynote. Make sure to pick one up. All right, guys, I just made my life on eBay that much tougher by sharing some of these secrets with you. So you're going to have to beat me out on eBay to add these to your collection. If you learn anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.